Today we'll be making these easy chicken sausage rolls that are perfect for snacking or lunches. They're perfect for breakfast and even for children lunches as well. For this recipe, we'll be using 1 large chicken breast, about 250 grams, and 2 medium-sized pieces of boneless chicken thighs. You can just use only chicken breast or chicken thighs, whichever one you have. We'll also be using 1 small onion, some mushrooms, spices, ready rolled puff pastry, and an egg. I have listed all ingredients in the caption. If you've been following me, you know I love to hide veggies in food because it's just an easy way to eat veggies without feeling like you're eating veggies. Putting all the ingredients in our food processor. I'm cutting up my mushrooms and onions into smaller pieces. Now, you might not have to do this depending on how strong your food processor is. I've seen food processors that crush all sorts of stuff. So if that's what you have, then you can just dump your ingredients in. Now, you might be wondering, do I also use the stalk of the mushrooms? Yes, I use every part of my mushroom. I just cut the tips off and I use every part of it. Next, we'll cut up our onions into the food processor and then add our chicken pieces, followed by our spices. Now, the egg is really for the egg wash of the pastry at the end, but because most of the time after brushing the pastry, there is always so much egg left that I end up throwing out, I decided it's better to add about half of the egg or of the mixed egg into the mixture to avoid waste. You really can do without adding the egg. It really does. I've made this many times without adding egg and it still comes out fantastic. So next, we'll blend all the ingredients together, scraping it down as much as possible, as often as we can. And then it gives us this filling, which we'll be loading onto our puff pastry. Now we'll unroll our puff pastry. It's better to bring out the pastry from the fridge about 5 to 10 minutes before use. That way it's easy to roll out and doesn't break apart. You also don't want to leave it out for too long before use, otherwise it becomes too soft and sticks to the sheet, which makes it difficult to handle. As you can see, there are a few cracks on the sheet, which I'm trying to cover up as much as possible here. If I do not do that, by the time I load the filling onto the pastry and try to fold it, the pastry sheet falls apart and then all our filling falls apart, and we don't want that. So I'm trying to cover up as much as possible so that the filling stays in. Next, we'll cut our pastry sheet into 3 equal parts, or at least as close as possible to 3 equal parts. And then we'll lay our filling on the center of each sheet. Brush some egg mixture on the edges and fold the other end of the sheet over the filling. We'll do the same with the 2 remaining sheets. Now, folding the 3rd sheet is not as easy as the earlier 2 because the pastry sheet has become really soft. Remember when I said we shouldn't leave out the sheet for too long. So now we have to be extra careful so we don't break the pastry sheet. And then we use a fork to seal the edges of our folded sheets and brush our egg wash over. We then cut into our desired sizes. I'm cutting into 5 pieces each, but you can cut anyhow you like depending on how small or big you want them to be. We use a fork to poke holes on the top of the pieces to allow steam escape during the baking. This prevents the pastry from forming large bubbles or pockets. We'll then transfer onto our baking sheet or baking tray. As you can see, my baking tray is too small and I have some pastry hanging on the side, which I am transferring gently onto the baking sheet. Remember, the pastry sheet is soft, so we have to be as gentle as possible. I'm cutting off the excess baking paper and then we'll bake in our preheated oven at 180 degrees for 30 minutes. And voila, our sausage rolls are ready. These are honestly very easy to make. I used to be tempted to buy the ready-made ones at the supermarket, but once I started making them myself at home, I have not looked back. You can also check out the next video for other easy homemade snacks. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. Until I see you in the next video, stay healthy.